Video games today aren't fun anymore is a statement that I'm sure that you have said or heard someone say recently. With the gaming industry becoming more greedy, it can feel that our options for discovering great games can seem limited. Which in turn can make us lose hope and interest in the very hobby that brought us joy. But I believe that there are games from the past that we haven't played before that can surprisingly reignite our love for such video games and also give us an experience to remember. When we mention great game series, we think of something like God of War or GTA. And don't get me wrong, those things should be talked about more. But recently, I delved into a game series that has started all the way in 2001 and is still running today, which should be talked about more. And that game is...
Let's rock, baby.
Devil May Cry. I'm gonna be honest with you, after playing this game, it might be top 3 on my favorite game series. Devil May Cry has 5 games, a manga, and an anime. I've always heard of Devil May Cry and saw how popular the 5th game was when it released. But I didn't really get into it because I didn't play the first game. I thought Devil May Cry was just another meaningless game for people who like mindless violence. But this series has definitely proved me wrong, and I'm sure that there will be scenes that will make you laugh. The gameplay is different, but it's also addicting. The music never fails to hype you up, and the story is so well done. Almost all games are great, but I'd have to say that the 3rd game is what completely got me into its lore and story. Of course there are some flaws in the series, but it's really difficult to not be completely invested in its storytelling. Before I give my thoughts on each game, I will provide a brief overview of the story while trying to make it spoiler free as possible. There was once a war going on between the human world and the underworld, until a demon named Sparta decided to wake up to justice and stand against the underworld. He reigned and preserved harmony for the human world, but before he died, he married a human named Ava, who then gave birth to 2 twin sons. Alright, starting off with Devil May Cry 1. My expectations for this game was low because I thought since this was an older game it would be boring, but I was proven wrong because this game is like a fresh breath of air to me compared to the games I play now. The atmosphere was dark and it reminded me of a combination of Castlevania and Resident Evil. Fun fact, if you're new to this series, Devil May Cry was originally supposed to be a Resident Evil game. Playing through it, you'll of course find things that are dislikable, like the platforms and part of the combat. But that doesn't hide the fact that this game was ahead of its time, especially for a PS2 game. The enemies you take down and how you take them down, with their specific weaknesses, the difficulty in which it's hard but it's beatable with enough tries, and of course the corny voice acting. It's what makes this game stand out. I mean, how would you react to this situation?
Whoa, slow down, babe.
Introducing your protagonist as a witty demon hunter and the son of Sparta named Dante. Your objective is to go to a mysterious castle where you fight off hordes of demons in order to face and stop Mundus from taking over the human world. When you play this game, it won't take much time to realize that this game is a hack and slash game and that it relies on combos. Being an older game, you will face multiple flaws with the combat, but trust me, this game is fun. Alright, but enough with DMC 1, let's talk about a DMC game that is my 2nd favorite on the list. Devil May Cry 3.
Wanna know the name? Devil May Cry.
You're probably wondering why I didn't say DMC 2. Now I don't recommend skipping games, but please, I'm telling you to skip this game. Where was I? Ah yes. The number 3. I want you to name a bad game with the number 3 in it right now. Can't, huh? Well, I mean, how could you? You got Modern Warfare 3, Halo 3, Skate 3, Gears of War 3, Battlefield 3, Mass Effect 3, shoot, even Marvel vs. Capcom 3 where Vergil is lore accurate. We'll introduce him in a second. All I'm trying to say here is, the list can go on and on. This game don't count. Alright, but back on topic, I made sure I didn't spoil myself with what I was getting into, but Devil May Cry 3 is a prequel to the Devil May Cry franchise. The story is what made so many people become fans of the series, including myself, as it provides more lore and tragic backstories to the series, along with an introduction of new characters. One of those main characters is Vergil, Dante's older twin brother. You know those super OP anime sword fighters? Well, that's Vergil. And I know this is a hot take, but him and Dante can probably solo your favorite anime characters. Vergil is so memorable that even other games try making replicas of him. But Devil May Cry 3, it's really hard to not want to learn more about the stories and the characters. Everything about this game just screams the early 2000s for me, which may seem a little hard to explain, but when you watch the cutscenes you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. This game has made me like Dante even more. I mean, they definitely showed more personality than the previous game, and there's a reason why for that too. Within the first cutscene, you'll already like younger Dante as a character with his funny jokes and stylish moves. Not to mention, this game has introduced different styles of combat. You have the Gunslinger, Swordmaster, Trickster, Royal Guard, and many more. And this allows you to combo and juggle enemies easier. The enemies can be a little annoying at times, but other than that, this game has really improved in terms of combat. Not to mention the amount of weapons you have in your arsenal, even if you can only equip 2. Devil May Cry 3 is another challenging game, and probably the hardest out of the whole series, but the difficulty makes it so rewarding. I cannot tell you how many times I said I was going to quit this game just to log back in an hour later. Next up, you have Devil May Cry 4. I'm telling you, with every single DMC game I move up to, I'm always impressed with how huge the changes always are. The graphics, character designs, level designs, and improved combat were all a fresh breath of air once again. And I finally got to move the camera? Well, somewhat. Alright, but DMC 4 did give me mixed feelings, as there was things that were just plain bad, but other things seriously made up for it. I personally did not like the campaign as much, although I did like the story plot, but the gameplay carried. I'm telling you, yeah, the campaign was awful, but the gameplay is so addicting. DMC 4 introduces us a new playable character named Nero, and he is the funnest character out of the whole entire game. His combat styles differ so much from Dante, but it pulls it off so well. And he's not just a copy and paste. And with Dante, he's also fun. You can now switch styles in game instead of before each mission.
You aren't human, are you?
Quick introduction to the story. Nero is a member of a religious group called the Order of the Sword. They praise and worship Sparta along with hunting down demons. But out of nowhere, Dante storms in and kills the leader of the group. Nero sets out to find Dante, but along this journey he finds the true motives behind his appearance and what the Order of the Sword really is up to. The gameplay is so fun, it just makes you want to come back to it, even after you beat the series. Kinda like an arcade game to describe it. And you can also learn more skills from Nero and Dante to make the game even more fun. Each new skill changes the combat in a way where it helps you finish off fights faster or more stylish. And you got Vergil as a DLC character. Although the story is meh, the aesthetic graphics, wondrous music, and improved stylish combat all make up for it. And when I talk about gameplay, I don't mean the campaign gameplay. Quick disclaimer, the next game I'm gonna talk about, it's kinda a little difficult to review without spoiling, so expect some light to moderate spoilers. Now on to the best Devil May Cry game, which is 5. I have been waiting to talk about this game, and I will probably make a separate video on it just to talk about it even more. Again, I made sure I didn't spoil myself with what I was getting into, even though I've seen memes of a lawn chair. But the very first thing I notice is how beautiful the graphics are once again. I know the game came out 11 years after DMC4, but literally every time a new DMC game comes out, it feels like an actual new game. Most games nowadays can't even pull that off. Quick introduction to the story without too much spoilers. The human world is once again being threatened, this time by a very powerful demon named Urizen, and he is the reason why Nero lost his right arm. You have your main characters, including a new one, but all the characters have so much personality, it's extremely hard to not like them at all. The facial expressions are more noticeable. Dante smiles with teeth now, and if you know me as a person or watch my past garbage videos, I tend to talk about music a lot. And when I first heard the soundtrack, I don't even know what to say. Like, I can literally go into an hour-long discussion on the music alone. Yeah, there are some bangers in the past games, but nah, this game decided to drop banger after banger with no breaks in between. My personal favorite song in DMC5 is probably Devil Trigger, mostly because it gives me Tekken 7 vibes, but Bury the Light is a fan favorite, and you've probably heard memes using this song. Camera angles have improved way better than before, and I love the mission styled levels. Finally, I can progress through each mission without wondering if I'm going the right path or not, cause trust me, you're not gonna like this level in DMC4.
Help me! Help me!
With DMC5, the game makes you feel so good with how combos can be performed now. I'd say it's easier than the other DMC games, but it's not too easy where it's not fun. It's like they listened to the feedback from DMC4 and removed the bad stuff and increased the good stuff times 10. On to character adjustments. Nero now has even more variety in terms of combat, especially with his new devil breakers. Dante has another weird weapon to kill enemies. Before, it was a suitcase. Oh yeah, and an electric guitar. And for the very best DLC I've ever bought, you already know it's gonna be about Vergil. And I'm sure that he's the reason why many people got into this game too. Games tend to nerf the playable boss character because they're afraid of making the game too easy. But with Vergil, he's still OP. Even though you still have to learn combos and inputs and learn how to string them together, you can make him fight like a cliche shonen protagonist. I haven't met a single psycho who hasn't bought the DLC. The amazing gameplay is what makes this game so satisfying and replayable, and the story was so intriguing that it kept me drawn in. With the music and the sound effects, it feels illegal to play without headphones. This game's music system also increases the hype when you reach S rank. And I know Doom is a great example of battle music, but imagine doing so good in the game and as soon as you reach S rank, all you hear is this is what you hear when you play as Dante, by the way. And just because this is my favorite DMC game, that doesn't mean the other games aren't great too. And once again, you can still come back to this game even after you beat it. I'm glad I got to play Devil May Cry because I got to experience another great hack and slash game. I really like the community. Like, there's so many scenes that can be taken out of context that you can make a meme out of anything in this game. If you have yet to try out this game series, then I 100% recommend you buy it when there's a sale and to try it out. Trust me, it's worth your money. Thank you for watching and making it this far into the video. In the description, I'm going to be linking my Twitch, where I stream games I haven't played before, or where I'm just casually playing Overwatch. I'm currently deciding between the Yakuza series, Final Fantasy 15, or this game that I cannot pronounce. Unfortunately, this video did have to be cut shorter than I wanted it to be, mainly because I ran out of storage. But other than that, more videos will be on the way soon.